Welcome back. So in the previous video, I was explaining how to create a carpet from using a few nodes. Actually, we have a bunch of nodes here, so not a few isn't the word to use. We have a lot of nodes here that we've stringed together in order to create the carpet, but we're not done. We're not done yet. I'll just do a recap. So we started with a paraboloid, which you can see here, and we changed some parameters, and then off of that we used a waveform, and then we blended the waveform together. We transformed it by shaping it a little bit. We used a blur. We blurred the edges a little bit, and then we transformed it again to make the shape a little smaller, and then off of that we started transforming it and blending a bunch of those nodes together, and the shapes, I should say. We're blending the shapes together, and the ultimate goal was to create a carpet like this. And now, so when we got here, we used a tile sampler. As you can see from here, we also used some fur to create some kind of fibery look to it as well. And then by the time we got here, we used a tile sampler. And in the previous video where we stopped, what I had done was rotated this 45 degrees, and that was because I copied this tile sampler. If we take a look at this tile sampler and we go down to its rotation down here, its rotation is at 45 degrees. But that was not what I really wanted with the main tile sampler. I wanted it to run up and down, so meaning north to south. So if we click on it now, you can see it's running top to bottom in its orientation. And that was just because I came back in here and rotated it -15 degrees to just rotate it straight. So what are we going to do next? The next thing we're going to do is start to combine the two together. So tile sampler 1, tile sampler 2, we'll combine them using a blend node. And if we double click on the blend node notch, you can start to see some breakups in the shape itself. So you see this line just coming in here, and that's just what I wanted to do, to just, you know, create some kind of woven look to this. It's not just woven in one direction, but it's also woven in the horizontal direction as well. But I didn't want the horizontal weave to dominate the shape of the carpet itself. So that's where we stopped, and now what we're going to do is just move forward and create the rest of the carpet so we can finish it out. And if you go back to the beginning of the video, in both part 1 and part 2, in the beginning of this video as well, you'll see that if you take a look at the carpet itself, you'll notice that the carpet has a divide in the middle. So there is one color on one side, one color on the other side, and then there's another color in the middle, meaning there's 3 distinct fabrics running on the carpet itself, but the orientation of all of them are in the same direction, just the colors are different. And the way we're going to create those colors, we're going to use masks. And in order to create masks, you already know what I'm going to say. We're going to use shapes. So in order to do that, let's start again by hitting the spacebar key and typing in shape. And we'll just click that and place that here somewhere. We can adjust it later. And off of that shape, we're going to put a transform. But before we do that, what we have to do is just create the shape, and mold the shape into like a rectangular linear shape. So what I mean by that is I'm just going to reduce the size in the X direction. So I'll go down to say 0.04. Maybe I'll stay at 0.05. 0.05 seems okay. So I'll stay at that. And then off of this, I'll just add a transform node here. So transform 2D. And the reason why I'm adding this is just for me to be able to transform this later if I need to shape it a little, move it up or down, left to right or something like that. Mostly left to right, but not up and down, because if I move it up and down, it's really not going to make a difference really. So off of that shape, then what I'm going to do is bevel the edges. So I'm just going to grab that and just type in bevel. And then with this bevel, I'm going to reduce it down all the way down to 0.01, because I just want a slight bevel there. I don't need a whole lot. And then off of this, I'm going to use something called a directional warp. Say directional warp. And then with this directional warp, the warp intensity, I'm going to be using something called a messy fiber to be able to create that organic look that you saw when you were looking at the carpet at the beginning. Again, if all of this is a little, you know, feeling like you're not on, if you feel like you're not understanding while we're doing this, go back to the beginning of the video again and take a look at the carpet itself, and you see what I mean by the organic blend between both sides of the carpet when it comes to the middle line. So I'll tap the spacebar key and then I'll type in messy fiber. I'll use messy fiber 3, and I can tile this a little bit. So I'll just increase the scale. And then once I put that in here, I can take a look at it and just see, okay, this is not looking bad. It's not looking bad at all. I can reduce or increase the shape, the size, I should say, as much as I want by increasing the scale. So I'll just go all the way up so that I have something like that, so that it feels like the edge is well blended, and I think I like that look, and we'll just go with that. There are other methods for doing this, but the directional warp seems to work for me, and that's why I'm using the directional warp right now. And then what I want to do after that, because I want this to be a mask, so I'm going to invert this, because I'm going to be using it as a separation mask later on. So I'll just do an invert grayscale here. Invert grayscale. And then I'm just going to use a levels node to just kind of clamp the colors a little bit more. So just do levels. Grab that. And then with the levels, I'm just going to drag this here and just, come like so. And if I take a look, yeah, I'm getting something like that, which I like. I can come back to this bevel a little bit and just play with the bevel as much as I want. Yeah, if I want something like that, I can do that, but I think this will do for now. Let's just move this to 0.1. I think 0.1 that we had originally is pretty good, so I'll stay there, and I'll just, yeah, I'll stay there. I think we're good for now. And then ultimately we're going to be using this as a mask to mask things out a little bit. So let's keep going. The other thing we want to do is create the other sides. So the other two sides that are going to hold the two colors of the carpet itself. Remember, this carpet has three colors. So there's one on the left, one on the right, and one in the middle. So right now what we've done is created a shape mask that is going to mask the middle out for us so that we can put anything in there. So what we're going to do now is start the shape for the left and the right. So as usual, what we'll do is we're going to start with the shape node again. So it's a 2D shape, and what we want to do is just go to the side, or this time around I'm gonna do a scale instead. So I'll scale it down to, actually, since I'm sliding left to right, I'll just reduce the size in the X direction. So if I do, let's see, 0.91, and then off of that I'll just put a transform node, transform 2D node, and then I'll slide this so that it's in the middle. So 0.5, so that we have that middle in there. And then I can come back and increase this or decrease this based on what I'm seeing. Looks like this is a bit wider. So if we go up here, so it looks like it's a bit wider than what we have. So just come back here a little and then just decrease this. Maybe something like that. I think that should be good for now. And then we'll come down here and do another shape node. So shape. We'll just throw another one down here. And this one is what we're going to use to form the left, and then we're going to invert it and turn it into the right. So again, we'll grab this and we'll just reduce this, and I'll say 0.46. 0.46 should be good. And then I'm going to transform it to the left using the transform node. So grab the transform and just transform it all the way to the left. And you can zoom into and just make sure everything's close there. And always make sure you check the right side as well so it doesn't become tiled. You can see here it's starting to show up on this side, so I don't want that. So I'm just gonna come in here. And just move it a little. And then I'll just zoom in here and say, okay, we're good. And then once I have that, I can use another transform node to shift this to the right. So I just do this. And that looks good. So, and then once that's done, we're gonna start blending all of this together to create the shape that we want. So I'll just grab a a blend node. I'll grab one here, and then I'll grab another one down here. I'll just place it. And what I want to do now is just put this in the background and then move this to the foreground here. And then this is the blending mode is going to be subtract. And then if we do that, now you can see that the edge here is starting to come up as white, so we need to use the transform to move things a little bit. So what I'll do is just come here, take a look at this, and then move things a bit. Does seem like our shape is, so I need to adjust this ever so slightly to make sure that, you know, things are not bleeding away. So I'll just grab this and just move it around a bit. Yeah, there we go. So that seems to work fine. Now let's come here and take a look at this as well. And then we'll do the same thing. We'll put this in the background and then this in the foreground. I'll change this to subtract. And if we double click on this, now we're getting some problems here as well. So we need to adjust this a little bit. Ultimately, we may need to adjust this shape to make it bigger, smaller. There we go. So I think that works there. And then we'll come to this guy and just make sure. Yeah, so this one's looking a little odd on this side, so we're gonna grab it and just use the transform a bit so that, yeah, there we go. That looks good now. Yeah, that's looking better now. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna do is just, you know, bevel the edges of this because we want something soft. We'll bevel the edges, and with this we're gonna go all the way down. I was trying to go to 0.2, maybe 0.02. Yeah, 0.02, and I'll just duplicate that and grab it and just put it here. And we have a bevel. Oh, looks like this is a bit messy on this side, so I'll just move this out a bit and just be careful there I'm not losing the edge there. It does seem like I'm losing the edge, so I need to adjust this a little bit more. Also maybe increasing the shape. So I'll take a look at that. Okay. All right. That looks good. We've made some adjustments now, and And that's looking a lot better. And then what we ultimately want to do is just start to blend the two together again. So the two bevels. So I'll grab that top bevel and the bottom bevel. So this one and this one, I'll grab both of them and blend them together. So just grab a blend node, and we'll find out if our shape is aligned or not right now. So I'll just use this as the background and the foreground. And then we can do a linear dodge, which is add up here, and just do an add. Yep, looks like we're good. And we can adjust this as much as we want. So we're blending the two together, and it looks like we're good here, which is awesome. And again, this one is something that we have that we can use to create the separation mask for a linear edge. And also we can, the reason why I'm creating this one is just for us to test, because in the original video, like I said, we have this version, and then there's this version as well. So we can test both of them. It's up to you. You have two options. You can test either this one or this one and see which one you like the most. So let's keep going. Right now we've got our messy fiber and we've got our clean look in terms of the mask. The thing we want to do now is just start to create the left and right colors that we're going to use. So before we start doing that, we're going to take a look at our nodes again and just make sure, okay, which one do we want to drag off of? Right now, if we start here, yes, we'll get something, but if you make that mistake, then you're going to be losing the fine detail we created in here earlier. Remember, we came in here and we added some little details like this, and here as well we added those little details. So we could go off of this one, but ultimately what you may want, and this one's up to you as well, you can decide, oh, I just want a clean look, and you just go off of this. But having this look, I think, breaks up the carpet a little bit, and especially when you want to do like a close-up of the material. So once we have that, what we can do is start to create a blend and use our mask to drive the colors for one side and the other. So what I'll do now is, off of this, I'll just drag a blend again. So I'll do that, and the mask is what I'm going to put in the foreground, and that will be used as a subtract. So I'll just, doesn't matter which one you grab, you can grab this one or the other one. Just, you know, be cognizant of where your colors are located. So I'll just do this. I'll just grab this one first. I'll put this in here, and off of this I'll just do like a subtract, and you can see now that we're getting this beautiful thing here. You can see it's starting to blend the edges a little bit, which I really like. So you have one carpet on one side, and off of that we can basically flatten, because what you're trying to do is not create a shape in your base color, because what we're going to create off of this is our base color, the base color for our material. And in your base color, you don't want any shadows in that. You want to flatten everything out in there. So what I'll do right now is I'll just create a node called the histogram scan. I believe that's what it's called, to flatten it. Let's see. Yeah, let's do a histogram scan. And with the histogram scan, we can change the position value to 0.7 or something. We can use the slider. Let's see what we get. So I'll zoom in here. That may be too much, so I can play with it too to see what looks good. Okay, that's looking okay. I'm just making sure this whole thing is looking all right. And then the next thing we're gonna do is, off of this, just create a gradient map. So I'll grab that, and we don't want it to be a grayscale color, and we can just edit the colors we want in here. Yeah, we want something that's a little greenish, so I've added some points in here. I'm gonna change the color of the points a little bit. So start with this. I want to go a little dark, like so. Actually, I'll do this instead. I'll come darker here, and then when I go to the other side, I'll go a little lighter. So darker on that side, and then I'll put some colors in the middle as well. Let's come down here and just do that. Desaturate the color a little bit, drag this down like so. I'm just basically trying to find a really good color that I like. I think I like that color, so I'll put another pin down here, and this pin, just go a little wider. Okay, so select this one, start to I'll go a little darker, and then I'll place another one here, and with this one I'll probably just go out like so. Actually, with that one I want to go darker. Let me see if I move this out. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out the colors a little bit and just make sure I'm getting the right thing here. I'll desat this a little. Okay. 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 I think we have a good color here that I like. I'm starting to like this shape now. I think this is good. Although this edge needs to be fixed a little bit for it to be tileable. So that has to do with our bevel here. And I'll just grab this. And see this bevel, if I just put this I'm not too worried about this edge because we're going to overlay something on top of it. So back here is where I'm a little concerned. So let me try something here. I'll do this instead and see what we get. That doesn't seem to change it too much. So alright, so I'm taking a look at this. Go back to our color here. I'll take a look at this as well, yeah. So if we use our mask here, if we use the blend as our mask instead, we should be getting better results. But the challenge there is then we get a sharp edge. Which may be ideal because we're going to overlay that blend on top. I think that should work. So let's keep going here. Yes, let's keep going for now. So the next thing we're gonna do is just off of our blend up here, we can just grab a transform node and reroute, because we're going to be blending another mask here. So I'll just grab a transform node so I can reroute it and bring it down here. Okay, it's awesome. So this was the original one we used. I'm just gonna use this blend node instead. So I'll grab this blend node here, and then I'll copy this guy. I don't need any of this too. I'll just need this in the background. And then I'll need this in the foreground. And remember, the blend mode for this is a subtract. So if we take a look, we've got the wrong node connected. So I'll disconnect that and just connect this. Yeah, I got myself all crushed up there. Alright. Looks like this one's bleeding on the edge a little. So we may need to adjust the transform on this ever so slightly. So just double click on that. Okay. We should be okay now. All right. So like before, we can just copy this. We can copy this too to make our work faster. And just disconnect. And see if that works. Oh, I think we'd like to flip the colors the other way around, because the colors are a little on the opposite side. So I'll just delete this. I wonder if there's a way to flip the colors. So I'll edit this. So if I were to move this all the way to this side and just do that. And that's good. So we have the two colors now. So we have this. We have this side looking like so. And then we have this side also looking like this. And you can see that, you know, the variation on this side is totally different from the variation on this side. If I click on this, it doesn't look like they're the same. They're not tiled the same, which is pretty good. I want to adjust this a little and just, you know, play with this a little, see what I get. Yeah, I like this better now. Yeah, that seemed to work better. Great. And you may be wondering, what is this going to look like? We've lost a lot of the shape. Don't worry, a lot of that's going to come out in your normal map. Well, once we create the normal map. So once we have the shape created and we've got this color figured out, we've got the histogram scan figured out. I'll just move this down a bit. Actually, just drag this whole thing down here so we're having a clean look down there. We're gonna have to combine the two together, you know, using a blend. And then ultimately the middle portion we're gonna have to create as well. So now to blend the two together, let's grab a blend node. Gonna move this all the way up here. I'm gonna move this all the way up here, maybe somewhere around here, so that I can have this going here. So I'll be a little closer so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm dragging the first side into the foreground, and then I'm going to grab the bottom portion. I'm just grabbing this bottom portion, and then I'm going to put that into the background. And then I'll change the blending mode to max lighten, and as you can see what we're getting now. We're getting these two colors right now. And we can adjust this to the left or to the right to basically be in the center, because it does look like one's shifted more to one side versus the other. Let me take a look at this and see how much of this I can move out. Yeah, that's what I need. I think we're good for now. I'll add the middle and then we can come back and adjust to see how that's looking. Okay. So with the middle one, what I want to do is just create a texture for the middle, and that is going to be a whitish looking texture for the middle. And we've already created some kind of mask that we can use. We just have to just grab it now from this guy. So what I'll do is I'll just create like a blend node. So drag off of this and create a blend node. And as always, we're going to do a subtract with this one. So we'll do a subtract because we need the middle. This is what we need in here. And then off of this, we're creating another blend node. So I'll just bring up a blend node here. And then this is what we're blending into. Actually, it's giving us an error, so I wonder why. That's because we are not using a color. I think in order for us to do that, we need to use a color. So off of this, again, we should just use a histogram scan to be consistent so that the node doesn't freak out on us. So I'll just drag a histogram scan again, so that we remove all of that color out of it. I almost forgot about that part until I got that error in there. I was like, wait, why are we getting an error? All right, so with this, I'll just create another gradient map. And the gradient map, I'll just put a color here. I like that black there. I'll change this. I'll put another color here, but I'll change this one. I'll change this one to something like so. Brownish. Brownish white. Or something like that. Something in that color, because I don't want to do a full white color. So I think if I come this way, that's too much. If I do this, I think I like that. Okay. Yeah, there we go. It's looking better now. Because I was losing some information in there before. I think that looks good. Okay. Now we should be able to blend the two together now, as promised. So just put this into the background and this here. And if I do this as max lighten, yep, there we go. We've got our base color. We've got this type of blended edge. And again, if we wanted to, we could, instead of using this portion of it, yeah, I was getting lost too in all of my nodes. We could definitely use, instead of this one, we could come down here and just use this guy instead. I believe we created one straight one here. Yeah, we could use this guy instead and just invert, you know, the same thing we did here, inverting this. Actually, this one's already inverted, so we don't need to invert it. We could just drag off of this and create a clean line. And actually, I'm going to try that and see what that looks like. So I'll just grab this and put that in here, and I'll see what that looks like. Yeah, as you can see, it's not the greatest, but what we can do, I'll just do Control Z. What we can do instead is just use a bevel. Use a bevel node, and then bring our bevel down to and we can do something like that, and then come in here with that, and then take a look at this. Boom. I think I actually like this better. In my original texture, I had used a messy fiber, but I think I like this better. I think I like this look. It's a bit cleaner. Yeah, I think this is a lot better than what we had before. But ultimately, the decision is up to you. You know, when you're creating yours, you can definitely decide on which way to go. You can use the messy fiber line or just a clean line. So I'm gonna stick with this clean line look right now. I like how this is, you know, blending together. It's a very nice look versus the messy fiber. I'm not a big fan of the messy fiber anymore, actually. All right, so we are going to, in order for us to be able to export any texture out of Substance Designer, you need an output. So what I'm going to be doing now is just dropping some output nodes here, and I can specify what kind of output each node is going to output. So if I do output here, I just come down here and select it, and you can add an item here, and basically I'm just going to call it a base color, and it's RGB. You can call it linear if you want, depending on how you're using the color space. I usually just leave it blank and just do RGBA for it, and this basically would just go into here, and this will be our base color that for the map, and you can see selected, and that's it. We have our base color. Now the next thing we should do is just create our normal map, and in order for us to create our normal map, we can blend two things together and just create a normal off of that. So what I'll do is I'll just grab a few things here and blend them together, and we should have something good. Let's see. So if I were to grab, so I'll just put a blend node down here first. If I grab this and I come down here and I grab this guy, I should get what I need. So I'll grab this here, and I'll grab this and I'll put that there. So I'm just putting foreground and background, and both of them I'm just going to put at max lighten for the blending mode. So max lighten, and that just gives me the complete thing again. And what I may do is just come in here and put this on top of it as well. So I'll just drag off of this another blend. I'll put another blend node here. So I'll drag this back here a little. I'll put this here, and I'll put this here, and set it to max lighten and see what I get. If I do maybe soft light, that doesn't work. Trying to see what my normal map is going to look like, because I do want the middle to be a little more distinct. So let's try this. If I off of this, if I create a normal, that normal seems to be too crushed. I may just need Okay, I'll switch the positions of both of them and see what I get. If I put this here and I put this here, and I do an overlay, yeah, that works better. Yep. Although it's creating a very distinct line, but I think that's fine. Since it's just a normal map, I think it's fine. Alright, so we'll create another output here. I'll just create another output. As a matter of fact, I'll just create a bunch of them now. And just lay them out here. And I'm just gonna be piping things in. So this, the usage, I'm just gonna add a usage and I'll say this is a normal. And I'll just pipe that in. I have a normal. And this, I'll add a usage. I can call this, let's call this maybe roughness. For our roughness map. And our roughness map. I don't think this material is going to be too rough. So I'll just put a basic color. Yeah. Color node. Although, actually, instead of that, I'll just do a shape. No, I need a color. I need a color node. Or maybe a gradient map would be good. And I'll pipe that in to our roughness. For our displacement, I can just grab this guy and use that for our displacement. There's no problems there. I'll just come back here and add another item, and I'll call this displacement or height. Either displacement or height. So I'll create. So I need to label all of this. So output 1, the identifier will be base color. And this will be normal. Now we'll come down to roughness. And I'll just, save. And our height is just going to be this guy. I'll just drag that in. So I'll double click on this just to check it. This is looking good. That's looking good. I do want to make sure this map is going to freak out on me and just I'll check on this normal map and make sure it's the right one. Yeah, the intensity is fine, and it's DirectX. And you can do OpenGL if you want, but I see. Does look like OpenGL is what we want versus DirectX. But you can experiment with it. I believe originally I used DirectX, but I'm looking at this now and the normal map is looking a lot better with the OpenGL format. So you see when we change it, it does show you an asterisk up here. I believe that's telling us that, you know, that's a different format. It's not the default. So I'll stick with the default for now. But overall, the texture came out really well. Like I said before, this, the way this started from the beginning, you know, we started from a small shape like this with a waveform, and we started using that, and to end up here where we got, you know, something like this off of all of these nodes. It could look very intimidating in the first place, but you know, if you follow the steps, I think you're going to be successful in recreating this. And also what I'm going to do is I'm going to include this as a downloadable file. In case you get lost, you can come back into the file and just take a look. And you'd see things like this, you know, disconnected. And if you go back to the tutorial, you realize why it's disconnected, because at one point or another, we didn't use one thing or the other. So up to you to figure out which path you want to take, but as of right now, I think we're good in terms of the texture creation. Actually, what I want to do is, instead of using this, instead of dragging off of this, I'll just take this and put this here instead. Actually, that broke it. Okay, never mind. False alarm. I think this is the end of the tutorial. Do let me know in the comment section if some things are not clear in terms of how I explained it, or if you're going to be creating your own. I want to see all the awesome textures you guys are going to make. And you know, the last note is that architecture visualization is a process, and if you want to do this professionally, you should be using tools like this, because there are going to be times when you get materials from interior designers and architects as well, and you're not going to have the right tool to help you, you know, scan them in and tile them. It's always better if you can create materials inside of Substance Designer, because you have so much flexibility. You can move things around, and this is a non-destructive workflow. Any change we make from the beginning here goes down the stack, you know, goes down all of the stacks in the nodes, and it's just so powerful. So this is going to be the end of this tutorial. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know in the comment section if you like this, or if you want me to create more content like this. The next video will be most likely a new project that I'm going to be working on, and if not, then it will be a new tutorial about something in architecture or visualization. So thank you so much for watching this, and if you know someone out there who's needing this tutorial, consider sharing it with them. I'd love for this channel to grow. I'd love for this channel to increase in subscriber count so that this video can be shown to lots and lots of people. I want to make sure one of the things I hear so much is that architecture or visualization can be boring. I don't think it is. It's actually, it takes a unique set of skills to make it look good, because the camera movements are slow and things like that. People are used to action-packed VFX animation, but architecture or visualization can be very, very interesting and rewarding as well. And using tools like the Substance Designer can go a long way too. So thank you so much, and I will see you. So one thing I forgot to add to this video, I almost forgot to do that actually, is how to export your textures out of Substance Designer. Once you're done with all of your textures, the next thing you need to do is export them out of Substance Designer. Obviously you've done all of this work, you need to export it. So in order to export all of our outputs, the base color, the normal map, the roughness, and the height, all you have to do is just come here on this side, on the left side of your screen, and just drop down. Just click on this arrow to drop it down, and you see all of your maps here. So you just right click here and say export outputs, and then you can choose which ones you want to export. If you want to leave the roughness out, you can do that. In this case, I want to export everything, and I'll just choose a location. You can browse to a location that you want to export it to, and also you can choose the format, if it's a JPEG, if it's HDR. Typically I just use a JPEG. A TIFF is also good. Sometimes people use Targa, but I stick to PNGs instead. So once I'm done with that, I just say export outputs, and it's going to save it for me. In this case, I'm not going to export it, but I just wanted to show that functionality as well, because obviously the goal of this is to be able to use your textures outside of Substance Designer. So that's it for this tutorial. So I hope you enjoyed this, and do come back next time for the next version of some kind of architecture visualization content that I'm going to be making. It's most likely going to be in Unreal, but I'll let you guys know. I'll post it in the community on YouTube and also on my Instagram as well. I should say. So I can't really speak. But anyway, I've spoken for too long. Thank you so much for watching the video, and do subscribe to the channel. Thank you. Bye now.